Let the 11 o'clock on Tuesday bowl game festivities begin. Dang, that could have been a lot more impactful if I had known where to put my little title thing here.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson with the AHSA Radio Network. That's me. Bama Online's Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by, well, everybody, because we love everybody here. And, thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. I'm trying to figure out this light sort of in my way this time. Bowl game is today, Jimmy. And you and I said right before we came on, look, kicking off at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday, that's sort of like the time slot reserved for Auburn games this past year. But it's a little weird, and it's going to be fun, though, because there are 3 games. And you've got Bama, Michigan, obviously. We'll talk about that the most. You got South Kakalaki in Illinois, and you got Penn State, Boise State tonight. Isn't there one other SEC Big Ten game tonight?
There is Baylor, LSU, right?
Baylor, LSU, but that's not Big Ten. It's Big 12, so.
That's interesting. Baylor being an Auburn opponent next year, and
it's worth a watch. And Walker White transferring there.
Yep. Oh, and Kobe Prentice transferring there.
Kobe Prentice transferring there.
Well,
by the way, before
next year,
before we get into some predictions, I thought it would be good to talk about some of the guys that nationally that are coming back or not coming back, especially those that play Alabama or have some type of connection to Alabama. Cade Klubnik of Clemson. No connection to Alabama, but he's announced he's coming back. So that sort of makes Clemson maybe a little bit more of a threat next year. LSU.
Wow, he's a slow developer, but I believe in his final season will prove worthy of his 5-star status. I mean, in terms of, I expect him to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football next season.
Will Campbell and Emory Jones, the 2 outstanding tackles for LSU, are leaving, even though Harold Perkins and Garrett Nussmeier aren't. And also Mason Taylor, who has been an Alabama nightmare. So sort of glad to see him go in. Of course, today for Michigan, you got Colston Loveland, Will Johnson, Mason Graham, and Kenneth Grant. I believe that their running back also said he was going pro, but I don't see him on this list.
The running backs must be – well, Khalil Mullings is a senior. Mullings is a senior, and Donovan Edwards, I think he's a senior too. So, but they're opting out. They're not playing today, Mullings or Edwards. So most of Michigan's star players have opted out, no doubt. But
Luther Burden and Armand Mimbu for Missouri are both out. Alabama plays them next year. Seeing if they're Tennessee, Dylan Sampson, of course, he's announced. And for Texas A&M, I know we don't have them on the schedule, but Shamar Stewart and Nick Scourton, both who played well last year. So, and then I think Alabama was going to add some people to that list after this game. I think they may add them to this list maybe right after the game. I'm not predicting that. That won't be one of our cool predictions, but let's go ahead and talk about some predictions that are just some bold takes from this game. And I'm going to tell you right now, Jimmy, I'm stealing this one. I'm stealing this one from somebody on BOL. Don't know who it is. Not giving him credit. Because I don't know who it is, and I don't remember, and I'm not looking it back, but he had what I thought was like, why didn't I think of this? Because this is usually the idea I come up with. Like it's so smart, it's stupid, or it's so stupid, it's smart kind of idea. And so out there, he said he predicts, and I echo this, that Mbakwe will play some quarterback today and throw a pass to Ryan Williams, his lifelong buddy and soulmate. I'm 100% on board with that. I'm picking that.
I'm on board with the idea, but I don't know that will happen. I hope that would be fun. Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, you know what made me even think it'll happen even more? Last night watching the Detroit Lions game, I think it was Amon-Ra St. Brown pitched a hook and lateral to Jameson Williams for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. I'll go this for bold prediction, and it's pretty bold, really, considering how specific it is. Long distance, big play through the air touchdown to Ryan Williams on the first possession.
A la Mac Jones, Jerry Jeudy against Michigan in 19.
Maybe that's subliminally in my head as to how I.
It was the first play.
Oh, really? I don't know that it will be the first play. I might go, 12 personnel, run the ball, 12 personnel, run the ball. Michigan's like, well, they showed up to run the ball today. Boom, deep.
I'm with you.
So something like that. But, yeah, I like Ryan Williams touchdown from a long distance and to start the game on the first possession. So that's my bold.
Okay, I'm down with that. Running game. What do you think will happen here with who is the leading rusher? Is it Milroe? Is it Jam Miller? Is it Richard Young?
Jam Miller. Jam Miller with about 85. And I think a decent day on the ground from Jam, about 85. Richard with about 60. And Milroe with 20 or 30. I think Milroe, I don't think it'll be necessary for Milroe to run around a lot today. And this is probably his last college game, and he's got a draft coming up. I'm not big on a quarterback protecting themselves. I think a quarterback should just play their game regardless of circumstance. But assuming the game is in hand, I would get it if Milroe sort of limited his exposure to hits today. That just makes sense. Now, hey, if it's 14-14 in the fourth quarter, then no, it's not good. You got to do whatever it takes to win the game, even today. But I think Alabama's going to have this game in hand, and Milroe shouldn't subject himself to extraneous hits.
Okay, I'm going to go Richard Young as our leading rusher.
I like it.
I know. And in fact, I'm going to go Richard Young as our leading rusher and Jam Miller is our third leading rusher. Not because I don't believe in Jam Miller, but because I think Milroe will want to run some. It's just his nature. And I think Richard Young will have the longest run, maybe less carries than either one of them, but I think he'll end up with the longest run.
Yeah. I think Richard Young goes by Rich. I'm gonna try to confirm this in the locker room.
Why don't more people go by Rich than Rick? My dad's a Richard. He goes Rick or Ricky.
Yeah, right. I think Richard is a Rich.
Rich Young actually sounds pretty cool. It sounds like a rapper name, doesn't it?
It does.
Welcome, Rich Young, to the stage.
Is there a rapper named Young Rich? Because that makes all the sense in the world.
That would make a lot of sense. But no,
that'll be my rapper name. Maybe this will be my next career 3.0.
What?
I'm going to Eminem.
Why are there so many rappers with the name Young in there and very few with Old? There's Old DB. I can't say his name, I guess, on this podcast, but y'all know Old Dirty.
Yeah.
Rhymes with custard.
Is that rapper NBA? There's like a rapper I think is an NBA young boy. Is the actual NBA cool with this? Are they're like, yeah, that's our logo, and yeah, but you can have it. I mean,
what else does it stand for? What it could stand for something else.
It could. I'm just saying, when I hear NBA young boy, every time I think, Silver, whatever his name is, the NBA commissioner, he's got a bristle every time. He's like, oh, that's not cool.
Look, if you've seen Andrew Silver, I think that's his name. Isn't it Andrew Silver? Adam Silver. I don't think he can bristle. He looks like a bristle. He looks like one bristle. He is.
He is an odd dude.
All right, so a couple more takes here. I'm going to make a prediction that Zion Gibson gets an interception.
That's a heck of a bold prediction to make. He plays for Gadsden City.
Not Zion Gibson.
That's your bold.
Zay Mincy.
Zay Mincy. That is so bold. That's bold.
I had him on my mind. Zay Mincy. Zay Mincy.
He's in the 11th grade.
That is, and it when it came out of my mouth, I didn't even catch it. And then you were like, "That is bold." I was like, "Why is not that bold, Jimmy?" And you're like, "Well, he's."
I would love if Zay Mincy picks off a ball today, just simply because what I would like to see. I mean, just in the let's make this outcome as dreamy as possible. That Zay Mincy plays so well, you're like, what are we going to do next year when you got Bray Hubbard, you got Keon Sabb, now you got Zay Mincy? Who are you squeezing out of the lineup, or is somebody going to move to Husky? I hope Zay Mincy plays so well that it puts you in a tough spot as to the starting lineup, because that's what you want. You want more than two. You want competition. And yeah, I bet Zay does play well. I'll be surprised if he doesn't. He's a good player. Now, he could also make some freshman mistakes. He's still a freshman. It's his first start. It's fair, to expect there to be some errors with an exceptionally young player like that.
I'm also going to predict that at some point next year, we have 3 dudes whose name starts with Z in the defensive backfield. That would be a first. There's no way that's not a first.
Will be 2 years. Zion Gibson's still going to be at Gadsden City next fall, so it'd have to be like 2026.
Yeah, that's right. God,
Zion, and who's the third one?
Yeah, maybe no. I'm thinking 2 years away. You're right. God, it's already early in the morning, guys.
You are doing everything you can to get Zion Gibson to campus as soon as possible. You're putting him in the game today. You're putting him on the team next year. He's obviously your favorite player of all time.
No, it really was just a joke about having names with Z, and then I also screwed that up. I can't believe it. Look, we decided to do this, get up on our off days, and do this early prediction thing. If we'd done this last night, I'd have been a lot more on point.
This is one of our earliest shows we've recorded too. I mean, we usually record in the morning, but this was a little earlier than even normal.
It's early, especially juxtaposed to the fact that we shouldn't be working. All right, I'm going to tell you people about Rocket Money now, because Rocket Money is where it's at. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even goals you want to hit this year. For me, the best feature is a subscription tracker. I love that thing. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedontoday. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedontoday. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedontoday. All right. Of course, Alabama plays Illinois today. I was just going to keep messing up. I mean, Alabama plays Michigan today. Jimmy, the line's gone up to like 15.5, 16. And I think a lot of that is because of the opt-outs in Alabama. I don't guess technically we don't really have any opt-outs. I mean, we got people who are out.
No opt-outs. There are a couple of injuries like Malachi Moore. And of course, Q Robinson has been out, almost all year. Alabama has lost some starters to the portal, like Devontae Smith will be starting today if he hadn't gone to Notre Dame, and other players like Kendrick Law and Kobe Prentice.
Justice Ames.
They would have played today. I wouldn't necessarily say they're starters, but they would have played. So Alabama's missing some guys, but nothing like Michigan is.
Yeah, and in fact, I would venture to say that the guys Alabama is missing, Alabama fans may be actually more excited to see the guys that are taking their spots than they would be excited if those guys were here.
Yeah, like even Zay Mincy getting the start at safety because Malachi's out. That's exciting. How about seeing Mbakwe and Rico Scott at wide receiver today? I'm excited to see both. I know Bach's going to get a lot of attention because of the position move. I'm just as excited to see Rico Scott because I believe Rico's going to become a good player at Alabama. And today's sort of the start of the Rico Scott era.
If you followed Rico Scott's year in high school last year, you have to be excited because every single week he was like he had 4 catches, 3 of them were for touchdowns. Like, I'm not sure if his team just didn't maybe his team just didn't pass it all over the field, but every time there was like a stat for him, it followed blank, 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 and however many touchdowns. Like however many catches he had, subtract 1, and that's how many touchdowns he had.
Yeah, when I was attending practice on fall camp, Rico Scott, I thought was a consistent guy that caught your eye. Consistent. That was one of the guys. I mean, because you kind of pay a lot of attention to the young guys because they're new. But every practice when I watch the wide receivers, I would say I think Rico Scott's going to be good.
Yeah, and I'm just a firm believer in Rico Scott, and I'm a firm believer he hadn't gotten his opportunity. I'm not blaming the coaching staff for that. I think that he probably also wasn't ready. But this could be a game where he has sort of a breakout. I really believe that.
Well, he's gone through spring. He's gone through fall camp, all the meetings, all the practices, and now he's gotten a lot of first-team reps or a lot of high-volume reps and bowl prep. He's ready. He's absolutely ready now. Probably wasn't the case in September. He's ready now, and he's going to get an opportunity today. I'm not predicting a big game for him, but let's go with 2 catches for 24 yards today. Get his feet wet.
Oh, you're just throwing in a prediction. I'll go 2 catches for 48 yards.
Oh, wow. You're going big.
Yeah, one big one and one short one.
Okay. I'll take, and I bet even though it's just 2 catches, I think, we'll leave the game going, you know what? Rico Scott's going to be a thing. And I'm not comparing him to John Mechie because that makes it sound like I'm saying he's going to have Mechie's career, but I think he's like Mech. I think as a player, he's a lot like him, and he's going to remind people of John Mechie, which is a good thing.
It's funny. I just thought about that. Yeah, you can't. I don't think he can be John Mechie because now he could be. I mean, if Keelan Russell comes in or Ty Simpson, everybody. I've had a lot of people tell me, "Hey, look, I don't think it's Ty next year. I think it's Keelan Russell." There ain't nobody driving the Keelan Russell bus more than me. But in the end, I think it's going to be Ty Simpson. And I had somebody say, well, I think Keelan will take over middle of the season. I said, I hope not. And he was like, why? You love Keelan Russell. I said, because that means Ty Simpson's been sucking and we've probably been losing. So if it's Ty Simpson, I hope it's Ty Simpson through the year,
Yeah, we're going to talk about quarterback for 9 months, and I look forward to jumping into it. But what y'all are going to sick of hearing from me about it is, to me, it's almost this simple. I believe practice number 1 in the spring, practice 1, day 1, snap 1, it's Ty Simpson. Therefore, for Keelan Russell or Austin Mack to become the quarterback, they're going to have to beat Ty out. And I don't believe they will. I think Ty is going to be good, and he's going to be so therefore it will be difficult to move him out of the quarterback spot because I don't think he's going to lose the job.
All right, so to our game predictions.
Yep.
I'm going to say Bama 41, Michigan 20.
41-20.
So that's a cover. That's a nice big win. I know it sounds very cocky and confident, but this is we need to win like that. We need to win this game like that to reestablish ourselves, if you ask me. Now, in a grand scheme, does it really matter? No. In a tangible sense, no. But in a perception manner, I think you got to go out there and beat the brakes off of Michigan. It's not going to erase Oklahoma. It's not going to erase Vanderbilt. But I think it'll let people go, okay, Bama's not gone. And people can add asterisks about who opted out for Michigan all they want to. In the end, as time passes, you only look back at the score.
Yeah, I agree. It's not meaningless at all to me. To me, this game today sets the tone of the entire offseason. The tone, it needs to be positive. It needs to be things are going in the right direction. All these opt-ins creating all this goodwill and a good culture. You got to keep that going by winning impressively today. I don't know that it necessarily requires a blowout or a shutout, though it could. I think both of those things are very possible. But I think winning impressively is important today to set a tone, because if you lose, you go out there and lose to a lesser Michigan team with the opt-outs, that sets a tone too, the tone of doubt. There will be 9 months of did we hire the right guy? I mean, it would be that bad. You lose to Michigan. If you lose to Michigan, that's what you're going to hear for several months. That's why today, in my mind, is the opposite of meaningless. It's extremely meaningful.
A loss today would be more damaging than a win would be helpful. I don't think there's any question.
Absolutely true. Yeah. Absolutely true. It's the tone of the offseason and the direction of the program. To me, it's a vital that not only Alabama win, but win impressively, and I think they will. I say 30-14 is the final score. And that's also a cover barely, I think, by half a point. But I think it'll be an impressive 30-14 win. And frankly, I really want to predict something like 35-0. I want to say that. I'll just admit I don't have the guts. I'm lacking the guts to predict that, but I do think that's a possible outcome because I think Alabama's ready to play.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like you can't put your finger on exactly why you can't say that. But 5 years ago, you would have said that in these same circumstances because we had the confidence, we had everything. Now you're sort of like, I mean, my history over the last 20 years tells me Alabama will do that. But history over the last several months tells me I don't know about this.
Still the team that lost to Oklahoma, that lost to Vanderbilt. And I know Michigan's missing guys, but it is Michigan. They don't sign. This isn't like, all our 5 stars left. Now we have to play all the 2 stars.
Yeah.
Michigan's got dudes. They got players. There will be good athletes on the field. They're just athletes that Alabama fans have never heard of. But the Michigan fans know who they are, because this is kind of the equivalent of, well, Damani Jackson and Xavier Brown have opted out. So today's corners are going to be, Mbakwe and Zay Mincy.
Yeah. Yeah. Like how many Michigan people have heard of Zay Mincy? They're going to be like, who the heck is that? So
exactly.
Apparently, I haven't heard of Zay Mincy that much, even though I'm predicting he gets
You've heard of that 11th grade corner from Gadsden City. He's a guy you know.
He's a dude. Hey, did he take a school bus over here to get that interception and then go back to Gadsden City? That was crazy. That'd be a hell of a story. All right. Let's talk about the CFP predictions. So tonight you got Penn State, Boise State. Again, Jimmy, I think you and I did this for the SMU game against Penn State. We kind of did it for the Texas Clemson game, but not quite as much. I think we want Penn State to win this game and win it rather handily. I think that's better for people who have taken the stances we have this year. And so I'm going to predict Penn State wins. I'm going to say they handle it with ease, but not handily, meaning they're not going to win 42-10. They're going to win something like 30-20, where it's a 2-score game throughout. But like every time you think Penn State's going to pull away, it's going to be sort of like Texas Clemson. Every time Texas pulled away, Clemson made it close again. Then Texas would be like, okay, I guess we got to score again. They go down and score again, and then Clemson would score again. But it ended up being sort of like a 2-point margin, a 2-score margin the whole time. And that's what I'm thinking about. I think Penn State is probably 2 scores better than this squad. Now somebody's going to chime in. What about what Boise did to Oregon? A long time ago, Chief.
Yep. I think this game is going to be similar to, just a few years ago, Alabama played a group of 5 team in the national semifinal. It took a weird circumstance for it to happen, but Alabama played Cincinnati in the Cotton Bowl as a national semifinal in 2021. And Alabama didn't destroy them, but Alabama won. Alabama was clearly the better team while only winning something like 24-3 or 24-7 or something. It wasn't a blowout, but Alabama won the game because they were clearly the better team. I think that's what happens today. I think Penn State's just going to be clearly the better team. Are they going to run away and hide? Is it going to be ugly? No, because I don't think Penn State's built that way. And like that Cincinnati team, Boise's pretty good. I'll say Penn State something like 27-10.
Well, it was 27-6 in that semifinal game because I thought it was 28-6, and I just looked at it was 27-6, Alabama, Cincinnati, and Alabama sort of played with their food a little bit in the second half. I mean, they just were like, okay, if you need us to beat your butt, we will. If you don't,
they just gave it to B-Rob.
Yeah,
it was a B-Rob game, and B-Rob was great. B-Rob showed in that game what he's been showing to the NFL.
And that, by the way, that Cincinnati team had Sauce Gardner and Ritter. Who's I know Ritter's not tearing it up in the NFL, but he's still on NFL rosters. So
Sauce Gardner may have been on a field playing Nick Saban's team. I mean, Bryce Young's out there, but in terms of NFL, was Sauce Gardner the best player on the field? I mean,
it's a good question.
NFL wise, and I'm talking about based on what's happened in the NFL since 2021. I'm not so sure Sauce Gardner hadn't had the best career.
Yeah, Bryce is really coming around though, which makes my heart happy, and so is JMO, which is great. But regardless, so let's move on to tomorrow to the game I'm actually going to. I'm taking my son to Arizona State, Texas, and very thankfully got some assistance on a parking pass from a friend of mine that listens to the program. Appreciate you out there. You know who you are, and so. Everything in me wants to pick Arizona State, but see, I'm not going to. I mean, I guess now Texas is sort of part of our family. It's like your daughter marrying a son-in-law you don't really like, and you're like, I guess I got to pull for him. I mean, that's the way I feel about Texas now. I understand why there was so much angst about Texas from all these other places. They're like, y'all just get them out of here. I kind of get it. I'm going to pick Texas to win. I think it'll be closer than you think. I think Cam Scatterboo is a lot of fun. God, you want to talk about a guy that if you want to transfer to Bama, I'm all for it. Cam Scatterboo's fun. And what a name.
Man, what a name. What a player. He is fun. And Sacramento State FCS transfer. Texas. I've kind of overestimated Texas all year. I picked them to win the SEC and the national championship. So far, I've been off. So far, they haven't been as good as I thought they would be. Yet here they are. I'm going to once again overestimate Texas. I think Texas wins big. And again, cautioning everyone, I've overestimated them every turn. I say Texas 34 to 10, 35 to 10.
I hope not, because if I have to go to a game that doesn't involve Alabama, I want it to be a good game.
I get that. It's easy to like Arizona State because of Scatterbo. Even it's easy to like Kenny Dillingham, the youngest coach in Division I, and in the Power Four. So yeah, I can see pulling for Arizona State, but Texas is just too good.
I'm with you that Texas wins the game. By the way, I will be wearing Alabama stuff. So if you see somebody in the crowd wearing Alabama stuff to the Peach Bowl, it's me. So then let's see. The second game is probably the game of the day. And that's Ohio State and Oregon in the Rose Bowl. Boy, that's a fun game. I mean, that's what. And also, Jimmy, the other day I saw what if, because now they are going to at least have discussions for even next year, getting rid of the automatic buys for the champions or whatever. Yeah. Now the group of five may not want to release their grip on that, but they may have to be given something in return for that. But if they had redone these brackets, this whole thing would have been so much better. So much better. It's crazy how much better this would have been.
Yeah, these are two of the best four teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, these
quarterfinal.
I would say this is 1 and 2 meeting in the quarterfinal. And that's stupid, and you have to recognize that. I mean, but anyway, something just tells me Ohio State gets them this time. I like Oregon a lot. I think Ohio State may win this one and lose the next one. That's what may happen, because I'm not sure Ryan Day is going to be able to go all the way through this field. But I'm going to pick Ohio State to win a close one.
Sort of pulling for Oregon.
Me too.
Pulling for them, but I am not going to pick against the Ohio State team I saw play Tennessee. They're going to have to play bad again for me to get off the Ohio State train. I thought that Ohio State team that beat Tennessee was the best team in the country. They're either on a roll or that was a one-off. And I do think a lot of Oregon, and I think Oregon's going to be tough to beat. But that Ohio State team that beat Tennessee is a juggernaut. I'm going Ohio State here, but it's going to be close and it's fun. And boy, what a setting! The Rose Bowl with everything on the line, and a traditional Big Ten versus a traditional Pac-12. This is a great afternoon of football right there. Ohio State in a close one.
And then, of course, that could set up Texas, Ohio State in Jerry's world, which is kind of ridiculous that Texas gets to do, a home game in Austin. Then they play their next game where they played the SEC championship game. Then they play their next game in essentially a home stadium in Dallas. And then the national title back in the Peach Bowl, where they now would have played 3 times. I mean, Texas just falls out of oil wells. They just like, oh my God, I just landed in a big pile of money with a bunch of naked, beautiful women. This is awesome. So the last one, of course, is Georgia Notre Dame.
Probably literally what happens to those big oil guys. Literally, I think you just described Tuesday.
I want to see that show Landman, by the way. I've just watched highlights. It looks good.
Yeah. Agreed.
Georgia Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I really want to pick Notre Dame. I'm not gonna. Because of Gunna Stockton. That's actually not a bad way to do that. I can't pick Notre Dame to beat. I just seen Notre Dame crap the bed too many times against the SEC in this type of situation. I'm just not picking them. Until they do it, I'm not picking them. So I'm going to pick Georgia. And so that means Georgia, Penn State in the semis, along with Texas and Ohio State. And even as an Alabama fan, I respect the 4-team branding of that and how much fun it'll be. So, yeah, that's what I'm going with.
strongly pulling for Notre Dame. Those that don't know, I mean, I know Riley Leonard, not just through QB country. A lot of people don't know why I ever talk about personal stuff, but one of my best friends, his daughter is Riley's girlfriend, and they've been together since the 10th grade. I think they've been together 7 years. They've been together longer than most marriages.
That's on Riley. He's been at 2 colleges now where he could have tested the fish a wide variety.
He went to Duke, and then he's at Notre Dame, and the girlfriend's at Auburn, and they've stayed together since they were in the 10th grade.
Kudos to her. How about that?
Yeah, she's great.
How awesome is she?
She's great, and so I really pull for Riley. Such a great dude and a great kid, and gosh, he's Mr. Fairhope. Here's the challenge: find anyone in Fairhope, Alabama, who doesn't love Riley Leonard. Just such a super dude, super to everybody he comes in contact with. So I'm really pulling for him, but Georgia's just too good. I think Georgia wins this game at the line of scrimmage. I do think it's close. I do think this is close. Georgia by less than a touchdown, but they beat.
So he could have a huge contingent of folks just coming over from the Fairhope area.
Oh, absolutely. New Orleans awfully close, just 2.5 hours away. There will be a lot of Riley Leonard people in the Superdome. Not enough to change the makeup of the crowd probably, but Georgia. But it's close, and then
Notre Dame. New Orleans is a big Catholic city, so
yeah, there'll be Notre Dame fans there. But and I think this Notre Dame team is good. As a matter of fact, I'll say that I think this Notre Dame team, Luke, is better than the Notre Dame team in 2012 that Alabama beat in the national championship game, and better than the Notre Dame team that Alabama beat in the playoff in 2020.
That was 2020.
Yeah, this Notre Dame team's better than those two.
Yeah, but Georgia's not as good as that 2020 Bama team either.
No, they're not. That's why I think this is going to be tight. I think Georgia wins something like 24-17.
I can buy that. And look, I can buy that. I think it'll be lower scoring than that because I think Georgia's defense is going to have to keep it low scoring. And I think Notre Dame will be able to stop Gunnar Stockton because Georgia also didn't have a ton of weapons on the outside. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. But I can live with Georgia, Penn State, and Ohio State, Texas. If we end up with Boise State against Arizona State for one of the slots in the national championship, it's going to bug me.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I'll say I'll rule out Arizona State beating Texas. I would be stunned if that happens. I will not be stunned if Boise beats Penn State simply because Ashton Genty is still the best player on the field, and that can mean something. That can mean something.
All right, that's going to do it. We're going to be back here after the game, so get ready. Be here after the game, right here on this channel, wherever you find us here, and we're going to be here for reaction, and we're going to have a live show. We're going to have comments and all that. So come back with us. Until then, everybody, roll tide.
Roll tide.